Welcome to the History Hunter. Welcome to our small adventures with the World War II time frame. This used to be a cigarette case that belonged to a German soldier, and these ornaments and these drawings here were made by a Soviet prisoners of war. And that Soviet prisoners of war, he just tried to survive. He tried to be friends with his keeper and do all kinds of artwork to please them, and in that way maybe stay alive a little bit longer. Today's little explorer is going to take us back in time to a very, very special place. It's a place where the Germans kept the prisoners of war, and the prisoners of war had to work very, very hard to create something special for the Germans. Let's go back in time and see this place. Welcome to the History Hunter. Welcome to a very special little adventure here today. History Hunter here, and we have eagle eyes. This backdrop is a very special place, and when we get further down into the valley, we're going to show you exactly what took place here. Today it's a very quiet little place, and the location doesn't reveal anything of what took place there before we come further down. To build the Atlantic Wall fortification line that stretched from the top of Scandinavia to the bottom of France, the Germans acquired hundreds of thousands of prisoners of war, and a lot of them were from the Eastern Front countries, like that time it was called Soviet Union, or not Russia as today, but Soviet, and they were sent all over Europe to construct the madness of the Atlantic Wall, and also tons of other constructions. And all of these constructions are spread over these thousands of miles, and you can find them, but you really have to look hard for them. At this location, the first object that kind of presents itself is this little thing here, which we think could have been a guard position or something like that for the very first entering of this area, because this area is divided into two parts. You have one part which is the prisoners of war camp that is here, and then further up you have a massive, super large coastal artillery position, and that is built, or was built, by all the prisoners of war, and they stayed right here where you see here. So we're going to check out the area where the prisoner of war camp was, and we're going to see some of the living quarters and standing buildings which are still here today. But this thing here is rather special. You can see the crude construction here of rock and concrete, and that's basically what a lot of the constructions around this area is made of, because just look around, there are mountains everywhere, so they had whatever they needed to do the work and create these. This thing is a construction which has this part in rocks and concrete, and there would be a roof construction on the top. And this, I'm not 100% sure, it's either a guard barrack for the controlling of the road going into this area, or it could be maybe a storage or something that the Germans needed here in conjunction with the camp. Eagle Eye said, "Daddy, there's nothing here, there's nobody here." Well, I agree. Up here, there's not much to see, but when we get further down, you can basically see that there was things going on here. But the very strange thing is here that this is so remote, and I read a story about one of the prisoners of war escaping this place, and he tried to get into a little community area, like a tiny little city, and he was actually caught a couple of kilometers outside that place, and he was shot on the spot. In this era, they had different kind of structures which were made in wood. They're not here anymore. They were part of the very, very special setup of some huts that the Germans made the Soviet prisoners of war construct. And let me show you a little scene of one of these, which we visited on a museum. This is rather special. This is a prisoners of war camp cabin, and tons of people spent their years here working for the Germans. You can see a bunker oven right in the middle of the floor there. And this is this very crude living conditions that these places would give the prisoners of war. It's very, very tragic piece of history. You can see this is the original one. This is just like a octagon shaped cabin. That is a very, very special thing. And they also cramped in more than 30, 40 prisoners of war in some of these. And that is brutal and fact of war. This field here had the accommodation for the German troops that had control of this area. They also stayed in the local houses, which you can see here. They took over all the farmhouses and they actually stayed in these houses as well. You can see it's been very cold here, and we are so lucky that we can go here now. Just 10 days ago, there was 11 minus and a lot of snow here. Don't fall in, eagle eyes. And this part here further back, I read was also, I think it was stables or something. This looks very much like something that could have been maybe washroom details for the prisoners. See here. Let's go up here, eagle eyes. Either for animals, feeding the animals, or actually wash trays for the prisoners. I'm getting a bit confused now because the map doesn't kind of tell me what I'm looking for, but very special thing. But look over there. That is something that we really want to check out. There's a cave in the mountain up there, and that's what we're going to have a look at. There's another one. I think these are wash trays for the prisoners here. See that? These are wash trays here. I think this is a well for water, and you can see all of this forest was not there during those days, so there could be features up there as well. I don't see them, but this is very special, and it's elevated up into the terrain. And I'm guessing the other barracks were right here, but I'm very curious about the structure there, so let's see if we can get a way in there. This road trip is made possible by all you incredible people who help us out being a patron team member. We have perks like this. Did you know that you can become a World War II History Hunter team member, and the artifacts here could be passed on to you in this manner and fashion here by creating beautiful World War II dioramas and displays? You can be the future keeper of something very, very special by the history and the history hunting that we share together. Check out the link in the video description. You can click that and you can become a patron team member if you want to. Different kind of perks with For Your Eyes Only videos, travel vlogs, restoration projects, all of that good stuff. And if you want to know more, check out the supporter videos in the beginning of each month. But now let's continue our little adventure. Yeah, for our team members and For Your Eyes Only videos, all kinds of behind scenes restoration projects, all that. And for those of you who help us out on the super thanks feature, I'm going to mention that last in the video here. You are the boys and girls helping us out to do this, and this is a winter trip, and you can see the snow hasn't even gone away. Oh, eagle eyes, look here. That's a cooker. Wow. I think that's a food cooker. Are you kidding me? Look at that. Yes, that's a field kitchen. Part of a field kitchen. That's the boiler, and that's the boiler kind of section. That is where they made the food. That is amazing. It's still there. look at that. Here's some kind of fixture. You see that? Wow. Realize this is from a transportable food kitchen, field kitchen, and they used that here to serve the prisoners. That is sad to see there. That is special. It could be just a tiny little thing, shelter. It could also be a food storage. I guess they could have had the food cold in there. I doubt it. That is a tunnel. It's probably just a tiny little something. Does it continue? Wow. Oh, it's very, very wet here, eagle eyes. Very, very wet. I'm not sure whether it's a tunnel or what it is. I'm gonna step here. Just step lightly. No, it ends here. Wow. So a poor prisoner of war had to chisel out this thing here. Could be a shelter for bomb air raids, so that the German soldiers could run in here and hide, or, as I said, it could be a food storage. What do you think, Elias? Food storage?
Food.
Could be food, or shelter for the German crews that was here. Wow. All right, so now we've done the what will be the southern part of the camp. So we're going to go over here where there are some of the standing structures, and we're going to have a look at that cave and that field kitchen. It's so powerful to see. It's eerie to see these places, know what took place there and what happened, but at the same time it seems like they created a passage here over a little stream. But at the same time, it's important to go to positions like this to really know the history, to learn what happened. And we all know what happened to the prisoners of war during the Second World War. It's not a good thing. And people really do have to see this to believe it, and really get the grip of how strong the history actually was and how powerful it impacted people. And when you see here, see this terrain, Eagle-Eye just said, "Daddy, where are they going to go?" I agree. Where do you go if you try to escape this place? So right there, let me get you in there. See that? Right there, a lot of men stayed. And Eagle-Eye said, it was this or the wilderness. And imagine going here in the winter storms. There's no way to survive up there. So powerful position, even though there is nothing more than empty buildings here today. This is a very important experience for young people. The young generation, they have to see this. They have to experience it. And that is why I go out here. Look at that, Eagle Eyes. I go out here to share this with the whole world, but also I share it with my son, and in this way he can really learn from history. Look there, there's the wagon. The Germans used a ton of wagons here to trolley around all the produce, all the pieces of material they needed. And guess who very often pulled this? Well, that was the poor guys and souls living in here. Absolutely crazy to think about. And you see that very crude structure. I think someone created that after the war just to kind of use it for something. But look at that thing. That is pretty kind of raw and crude. Would you like to live there for 5 years? Would you, Eagle Eyes?
No.
Eagle Eyes is very quiet here today because he's so stunned what he sees. Because he knows how hard it can be to be out in nature like this. We spent 6.5 hours, was that yesterday?
Yeah.
In a snow blizzard, metal detecting at another location. And he said, "Daddy, we have so good clothes, we have so good gloves, boots, everything. Just imagine being here with just thin clothing that you had, and you were forced to go out, maybe way up in the mountain there, to crush some rock so that the Germans can use for their madness of the war machine. And I can actually see another very special thing there. Can you see that, Eagle Eyes? Let me see if I can zoom it in there. See that?
Yeah.
That's a massive tank, and I think that's a boiler to heat water. That is also just laying there. It's not going to be easy, but I'm gonna do this. And you can see it's just a crude concrete structure. And yeah, just a crude concrete structure. Someone put that roof on top so they could use it for something else. Crazy stuff. Just imagine living in there for several years. Right here, we found two of the most powerful examples to verify that the Germans were here. The first thing is that Eagle Eyes knows exactly what that is. That is a field ration box from the German army, or the German Wehrmacht war machine. It's in aluminium, and it's something that we have found at so many places. That is for sure. And the second one, what is it, Eagle Eyes? This?
Barbed wire.
Barbed wire, and you can see that it's here like hundreds of meters. Maybe if you go a little bit backwards, you can see this. See that? That is the German barbed wire right there. And it's still just poking out of the ground here. This was the fencing material that kept the Soviet prisoners of war inside the camp perimeter. Eagle Eyes found this bottle. That is most likely also what the crews or prisoners of war drank of. I'm not sure, but it sure looks like the right time frame type. So powerful little thing. And that's the final proof of the German soldiers' existence here. Maybe you can take it up, Eagle Eyes. That is a heel iron from one of the German soldiers' boots. Right there. That tells you the full circle, finding the food and the drink from either troops and the prisoners of war. You find the food containers, and then you find this, which is the proof that the German soldier ruled this compound here. Eagle Eye spotted that. Look at that. Beautiful enamel coated water kind of thing that would stand on top of a table or something. Time frame correct bucket. And see here, these are the food containers again. But look here, this is very strange, Eagle Eye. See that?
Yeah.
Why is it not open with a can opener? A German soldier would have a can opener. I think they just gave them to the prisoners of war, and they had to figure out a way to get them open by self. You understand? Because a German soldier would never open it like this. The lid would be open like this, perhaps with a can opener, which they had. So that is very, very strange. Very bewildered by this thing here, this wall. Is it an integration of a outside perimeter defensive position? I'm not sure whether that used to be a guard hut or something, but you can see for sure the locals never used concrete in conjunction with these builds. And you can see there is definitely concrete in between. They would stack normal rock fences to about 1 meter's height. All of this was used or built by the Germans, but I don't know why. But let's go on the inside and see what's there. I just realized something. Eagle Eye said to me, see the valley? That's the road where we came in. And the wall is a defensive measure to be able to protect himself behind, because you had the guard barrack and the entrance up here, and of course this is a defensive measure. But you can see here they built all of this. And why? The only reason is, I think Eagle Eyes is very right, this is a protective measure, a little wall where they could actually kind of stay behind if the enemy tried to come in that way. I think you're really right, Eagle Eyes. Very well spotted. That is the only surviving structure here. That is impressive in size. I have conflicting kind of information. Some say it's a wash house for the soldiers and the prisoners of war here to keep them clean here. I'm not sure, but I can see that the stream goes straight underneath it, so that could very well be. Some say it's the kitchen for the huge fortress which is further up here. I cannot actually say, but nevertheless, wow. That is a very, very special structure still standing. Look how it's built. I'm going to go down there and show it to you. It's a very, very strangely built thing. Can you see that, Eagle Eyes? Yeah. It has rocks, and then it has bricks. So that is a very strange way of building something like this. I would guess you would either build rocks or bricks, not combine them, but looks like a little piece of art if you ask me. But just imagine these poor souls walking around here, and then the German soldiers with their iron boots going around commanding and telling and saying what's to be done and when and all of that. That structure, that building here kind of speaks so many words, but it's just standing still right there. But I have to say, this is, a bit touching to see, because it's a very good way to visualize for the younger generation that, okay, let's say I tell my son, go inside and live there. Would you do it? It would be very tough because there's no insulation. There's probably I can see electrical connections. That could be newer. But it was cold, dead cold. And they would get sick. They would get pneumonia and all kinds of bad, ugly illnesses from staying in things like this. So it's powerful, very, very powerful. I don't know. It's kind of sad to see this, but I'm very glad that we have, because it really tells us another side of what happened during the Second World War. And this is a very, very tragic and sad side. And to believe, or to see that it's still here, that makes me in a way happy. So we can go to these locations and share them and let people take part in what this chapter of history actually was. Yes, this is a very special place, and the story of these men needs to be told, and that's what we do. We do the research, we travel, we go to these locations, and if you want to help us out to reach more locations and present more stories to you, we have this little super thanks feature here. That is your opportunity, maybe to help us out with a little donation, to put some gasoline into the fuel tank and go out and find more very unique stories. So these men, they were here, but many of these men never returned. They worked hard, they were punished, they were really, really driven like animals. So it's a dark chapter of the history, but it's a chapter that needs to be told, and we feel quite privileged and honored to be able to go out and find these places. And it's thanks to all of you. So thank you for being a Patreon team member. Thank you for being a PayPal donator. And thank you for being here and sharing these special moments like this story here today. Thank you, and I will see you later. Stay safe, keep smiling, and bye-bye.